Today, we're doing something a little different. We're plunging into Hermann Hesse's Demian.
Ah, classic.
It really is.
Yeah.
For generations, this novel's been a touchstone, hasn't it? Some even called it a Bible for youth movements.
That's true. It had that kind of impact.
But look, our deep dive today isn't about just, running through the plot again. You can find summaries anywhere.
Right.
Instead, we want to peel back the layers. We're going to look at the incredible psychological and, believe it or not, musical structures woven into its very fabric.
Which is where the real magic lies, I think.
Exactly. We want to show you how these elements give Demian its profound impact, almost positioning it as like a guide for finding your authentic self. And we've got some fascinating sources for this. There's a book review looking at it through a Jungian lens.
Very relevant.
And this really captivating academic thesis connecting its structure to, of all things, a Mozart sonata.
And that connection isn't as surprising as it might sound, actually. That's where its enduring power kind of comes from.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I mean, for a novel so often read when you're young, its depth really stems from this architectural brilliance. It draws on fields you might not immediately connect with a novel.
Like psychology and music.
Precisely. And you have to remember, Hesse herself had this really deep personal connection to both. He actually went through therapy with a student of Carl Jung just before writing Demian.
Wow. Okay, so it's baked right in.
It absolutely shaped the narrative, and he was a lifelong music lover, especially classical forms. That resonates through his work. So these aren't just like academic theories slapped on afterwards.
They're foundational.
Totally. They're key to understanding why Demian still speaks to people today.
Okay, so let's start unpacking that foundation. Our sources really hammer home how Carl Jung's analytical psychology informs the very fabric of Demian. And as you said, the fact Hesse was in Jungian therapy just before writing it, that's huge. It's not just interpretation. It feels almost intentional.
It really does. It gives us a fantastic map.
So how does Jung's map, his map of the soul, help us understand Emile Sinclair's journey? It's pretty complex, isn't it?
It is, but Jung gives us the framework. Think of it as a way to navigate Sinclair's inner world. We start with the basic distinction Jung made, the conscious.
Okay, the stuff we're aware of day to day.
Exactly. And then there's the vast, often hidden unconscious, Sinclair's early life, in that seemingly perfect, bright world of his parents.
Yeah, the safe, conventional world.
That really shows his initial conscious conformity. He's trying to fit in, be what's expected, be the good boy.
Makes sense.
Now, within that conscious part, Jung talks about the ego that's our center of conscious identity and the persona.
The persona, that's like the social mask we wear.
Precisely. It's the image we project, what society kind of expects. Sinclair, like a lot of young people, spends the early part of the book trying hard to maintain that persona, blend into the bright world.
Right, trying to keep up appearances.
But underneath all that, in the unconscious, you've got the shadow.
Okay, the shadow, that sounds dark.
Well, yes and no. It's not just a dumping ground for bad things. It's all the parts of our personality we don't acknowledge, things we reject, maybe even fear about ourselves. But crucially, it's also a source of immense potential. Vitality, energy, it's where the parts we don't want to admit exist are hiding, but they hold untapped power.
So the shadow isn't necessarily negative,
Yeah.
just unacknowledged. That's a really interesting way to put it.
Exactly. It's a powerful reframing.
Does Sinclair, actively decide to explore this shadow? Or is it more that life, maybe difficult experiences, or people like Demian, kind of force him to confront it?
It's rarely a gentle invitation, is it? Usually it is those difficult experiences, those encounters that challenge his comfortable world, that force him to face what he's pushed down or ignored.
Right.
See, the ultimate goal in Jungian psychology and what Hesse shows so powerfully through Sinclair is individuation.
Individuation.
Yeah, the process of becoming oneself. Hesse actually put it perfectly in Demian. Every life is the way to oneself.
That's a great line.
It really is. It's about integrating all these parts, conscious, unconscious, the persona, the shadow, the light, the dark, into a unified, authentic whole.
Yeah.
That's the self, our true being covering our entire inner reality.
So it's about bringing it all together.
Exactly. And in the novel, Sinclair's unconscious is constantly trying to communicate. It comes through in vivid dreams, visions, symbols, even his paintings, right? They become these expressions of deeper stirrings.
Yeah, those mysterious paintings.
That's classic Jung. The deeper self trying to guide us, bring that unconscious stuff into the light. And notice, too, how characters like Demian and later Frau Eva often have this intriguing sort of androgynous quality.
Yeah, I remember that being striking.
Our sources point that out as a powerful Jungian symbol. It represents integrating the masculine and feminine principles within everyone.
Breaking down rigid gender roles internally.
Exactly. A crucial step towards wholeness. So for you, the listener, it's a reminder that, real self-discovery isn't about fitting a pre-made mold. It's about honoring and integrating every single part of who you are, even the bits you've been taught to hide or separate.
That journey inward, though, as you describe it,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like just finding the good parts. It sounds like it can get pretty unsettling.
Oh, definitely.
And our sources highlight this really powerful, kind of startling symbol, abraxas, that pushes Sinclair's transformation into much deeper, maybe more challenging territory. What is abraxas? How does it force Sinclair to rethink everything?
Abraxas is absolutely central because it just shatters his black and white thinking. Our sources explain it as a Gnostic deity. It encompasses both the divine and the demonic, good and evil.
Both. Wow.
Yeah, it's a reflection of the sheer totality of the human unconscious, refusing to be neatly boxed. The description is so vivid, isn't it? Chicken's head, human body, and snake's 2 legs.
It's bizarre. Almost monstrous.
It is. And that bizarre composite look perfectly embodies its dual nature. It's a god beyond our usual easy categories. It's shocking because it forces us to reconcile opposites.
So what does that mean for Sinclair in the story?
Well, its significance is, frankly, revolutionary in Demian. Abraxas gets links directly to the mark of Cain.
Which usually means you're cursed, right? An outcast.
Right, but here Hesse completely reinterprets it. It's not a sign of damnation at all. It becomes a sign of those who confronted, understood, and actually integrated their unconscious, their shadow.
So the mark is actually a positive thing here, a sign of wholeness.
Exactly. It challenges the traditional good versus evil binary that Sinclair, and let's face it, most of us, grow up with. For those marked by abraxas, recognizing and embracing the darker aspects isn't a fall from grace. It's seen as essential for true wholeness, a deep acceptance of their entire being.
That's a radical shift in perspective.
It really is. And then, of course, you get that incredibly powerful quote, the egg metaphor from Demian himself.
Ah, yes. The bird fights its way out of the egg.
The egg is the world. Who would be born must first destroy a world. The bird flies to God. That God's name is Abraxas.
Chilling, almost.
It's more than just poetry, isn't it? It's a call for this profound, often painful, personal revolution. It shows the struggle to break free from external conditioning, from that comfortable but limiting world of the ego and society's expectations.
Destroying a world to be born.
To really confront and integrate your authentic self, shattered included. Sinclair's whole journey is about grappling with Abraxas, integrating it, especially through that dream of the tall, androgynous woman who turns out to be Frau Eva.
Right, and his talks with Pistorius.
Exactly. Those help him process it. So for you listening, this isn't just some obscure literary symbol. It's a really profound invitation to acknowledge that real growth often demands we integrate all of ourselves, the light and the dark, not just the bits society approves of. What parts of your world, your comfortable assumptions might need challenging or even destroying for something new in you to emerge.
It's incredible how Hesse weaves these deep psychological threads all through Sinclair's development. It really paints a picture of this often turbulent inner journey.
It's seamless.
But our deep dive also reveals this other foundational layer. Something Hesse, who was a huge music fan, apparently he even wanted to be a violinist.
That's right, he loved music.
Intentionally built into the novel's structure. One of our sources makes this really compelling comparison between Demian's structure and a classical sonata.
Yes, it's a brilliant insight.
How does that work? How does this musical architecture guide Sinclair's psychological journey in this structural, maybe almost preordained way?
Well, preordained is interesting, but it's definitely structural. It speaks volumes about Hesse's artistry. See, Demian is fundamentally a classic Bildungsroman.
A novel of formation, right? A coming-of-age story, basically.
Exactly. Tracing the protagonist's inner growth, self-discovery, spiritual development from youth to adulthood. And Hesse, through his own thinking, saw this journey happening in 3 stages of human formation.
Okay, 3 stages.
What's amazing is how neatly these stages line up with the structure of a classical sonata. Like, say, the first movement of Mozart's piano sonata K545, which the academic source uses as an example.
Wow, okay, so what's the first stage?
The first stage is the pure stage. It's this kind of undifferentiated state, good and evil, light and dark. The lines aren't sharply drawn yet.
Like early childhood innocence, maybe.
Sort of. And this corresponds directly to the exposition in a sonata movement. In Demian, you see it in Sinclair's early childhood, perceiving those two worlds, remember?
Yeah, the bright parents' world and the darker, forbidden one.
Those are like the sonata's two main musical themes, the primary and secondary themes. They're introduced distinctly, but they relate to each other. And that blurry line Sinclair feels between them.
Yeah.
That's like the musical connecting passage or bridge in the sonata, linking the themes, hinting they're connected and transition is possible.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It sets up the initial landscape, the opposing forces, but then comes the struggle, right? The tension, the dissonance. Does this musical structure imply Sinclair's path is all laid out? Or does he still have choices within these stages? Does he have to, like, play his own part?
That's a great question. And yeah, it gets deeper. The second stage is the sin stage. This period is defined by conflict, stark opposition, good versus evil, light versus dark.
Okay, things get messy.
They really do, and this maps perfectly onto the development section of a sonata. For Sinclair, this is his time of wandering, self-doubt, grappling with raw impulses. Think of his high school years, that infatuation with Beatrice, his unsettling discovery of Abraxas.
Right, the searching and confusion.
Musically, the development section is all about taking those initial themes, breaking them apart, changing keys, exploring different musical landscapes. There's tension, fragmentation, searching. It's often chaotic.
Just like Sinclair's inner turmoil.
Exactly. His quest for meaning, being forced to confront his unconscious. It's within this turbulent development that he has to make choices. He wrestles with these forces. He fights his way out of the egg. He defines his own path through the struggle. He's actively playing his part.
Ah, okay. So the structure provides the framework, but he provides the melody, the choices.
You'd put it that way, yeah. And finally, we get to the completion stage. This is where all the previous conflicts start to integrate. You reach a new, synthesized level of understanding. Resolution, integration. This mirrors the recapitulation and coda in the sonata. Sinclair's profound encounter with Frau Eva, for instance, that feels like a culmination of his inner quest, integrating his desires. And our sources, interestingly, bring in World War I here. They see it as this huge external reflection of the collective unconscious. A global chaos, yes, but also potentially a catalyst for rebirth, like that great bird struggling from the egg on a massive scale.
Wow, connecting the inner journey to world events.
Yeah. Musically, the recapitulation brings back the original themes, but they sound different now. They're transformed, resolved, often back in the home key. It signifies a return, but to a self that's fundamentally changed and strengthened by the journey.
Like Sinclair finally understanding himself.
Exactly. It's his ultimate self-realization, where he finally finds Damian's wisdom fully inside himself. And the coda, the musical ending, that provides the final sense of closure, integration. Sinclair can now access his inner voice whenever he needs it. He's completed his human formation, achieved a kind of inner harmony.
It's not just an intellectual game then, is it? It's like seeing a map for our own lives, too.
Absolutely. It offers this compelling way to view our own journey, recognizing that those periods of struggle, our personal development sections, are totally essential for reaching a more complete, integrated self later on, our recapitulation.
That truly is a remarkable interplay, how literature, deep psychology, and this musical architecture all weave together to give Demian such lasting power.
It's pretty stunning when you lay it out.
It really underscores that if you look beyond just the plot, you find not just a story, but this profound guide, a guide to self-discovery, to integrating our complex inner worlds. What stands out most to you about how understanding these layers might enrich maybe your own understanding of yourself or the stories you engage with?
Well, what really resonates with me is the idea that Demian isn't just Sinclair's story, right? It feels like an invitation for every one of us to recognize the symphony playing inside ourselves, all the conflicts and harmonies.
The inner symphony, like that.
Yeah. Just like a sonata moves through its sections, exposition, development, recapitulation, our lives are this continuous process, aren't they? We encounter new ideas or parts of ourselves, we struggle to integrate them, and hopefully, eventually, we reach a more complete sense of who we are.
It's a lifelong process.
Definitely. And it reminds us that embracing both our bright world and our darker world, our shadow, isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about weaving them together into something richer, more whole. The real question, then, for each of us, the question Eva kind of poses to Sinclair, is whether this path to self-acceptance, to individuation, this often difficult path, is it only difficult? Or does it also hold its own profound and unique beauty?
That's a truly beautiful and provocative thought to end on. It reminds us that maybe understanding ourselves is the most profound deep dive we can ever really take.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you so much for unpacking all of that today. And thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Demian. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.